What up, hustlers?
Business strategy. I worked for Telstra for years as a business strategist. So I lived out of a suitcase for years. And my husband and I were like, this is not a real way to live. Because, like, I'd come home, wash my clothes, give him a kiss on the cheek, and then leave again. And I did that
Okay.
for 2 years straight while we had a little one. And I'm like, this is a joke. Like, how anytime he was sick, and I missed my flight one morning, and I got into massive trouble because Telstra would pay for it to go all around the country. So it got to the stage where I was like, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and my husband had uni exams on that day as well, so he couldn't get his situation. And I'm standing half naked, covered in vomit, waiting to go with my bags at the door and my 18-month-old screaming his little head off. I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, and my mum lived 5 minutes away. My dad and my mum and dad were really close. My sisters and my brothers. But do you know what? For all of my 750 Facebook friends, not a soul was able to help me. No one.
Jeez. Okay. That's rough.
There's got to be other people in this situation. Like, this isn't an isolated incident. I'm not the only person that's got kids and responsibilities that's ever fallen into this trap. So I started doing a little bit more research, and it turns out that it's actually a really huge problem. And so people would, take days off work, and I was realizing more and more that people were chewing up all their sick leave, but they'd never been sick themselves. So then I kind of sat on the idea for a while and was like, I am too young. I don't know enough about this to do it right. So I'm not going to touch it right now. And then I went to work for Mercedes-Benz as a car salesperson because it's a similar sort of field. And I loved it. I had a ball.
Yeah, great.
It happened one day. I had a major client coming in. They put down $250,000 in cash. Oh my God.
You're just like, yep.
Yeah, straight up. That's exactly what it was the whole time. I was absolutely floored that they had this much money. Why are you walking around with that on you?
Oh, just some casual, folding change, nothing big.
Yeah, and this guy, so he came up from Melbourne, and we think he's kind of a shady character. And I had this deal waiting to go, and I actually had to leave the dealership because I had 2 kids sick, and I had to go to school and pick them both up. But this gastro bug just went through our household for a week. Yeah. And my boss, I was the only female at the dealership, and females in car dealerships have really high sales and retention rates. And my boss called me. He's like, you've got to sort out whether you're going to be a mother or you're going to be here. And
well, that's like, rough.
Yeah, straight up. I'm like, hang on, I'm your highest grossing salesperson.
Yeah,
and he's
like, really, explain that.
Not selling, you're no good. And I thought, okay. So we went and got a nanny, and that was the biggest epic failure we had ever done. I went through an agency, we paid $6,000. They're like, she'll come, she's a German teacher, she speaks perfect English, she's amazing, you'll have a ball. She'll come blue carded and federally police checked. Yeah, right. This tourist arrived on my doorstep with fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Great.
I was like, ridiculous. I'm expected to house this tourist who doubled our food bill. Like,
yeah, jeez.
I'm bored. And then, she was trying to charge me extra on top of us having put on a $10,000 extension on our inner city house to house her. And then she's, trying to charge me extra, and then cracks the shits when I don't let her take off with our family car to the Gold Coast for the weekend. What? It was mind blowing. And I thought, you know what? I actually have no leg to stand on. So I went back to work, and then she gave me 24 hours notice that she was cutting her contract off and left.
Yeah.
So I got my job. Like, I went in on the Monday, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I've got 3 kids, I've got 2 in school, I can't do this. This is a joke. I can't.
Yeah.
And then I was at home for about 2 weeks, and I kind of sat on this idea. Went and had a chat with a good friend of mine who's an accountant. Registered everything, kind of got it up and running. Had a really shitty, horrible business partner who probably should be in jail. And this was one of my customers from the Mercedes-Benz dealership who kind of heard my idea out and was listening to me and my frustrations. And he's like, oh, that's great. I've got a whole bunch of, international people who'd be great to look after kids. But, most of them are teachers. They come here for a holiday and they're looking to get paid. And, even if it's just kind of a stop-through situation, I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. And instead of charging people $6,000, I'll undercut that asshole and do it for 4. And vet these people better. Give them some level of accountability because it's your kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's through 9 months of bullshit pregnancy to have it all fall apart because of somebody else.
Yeah.
So it was really full on. And then that epically burned and failed. Oh my God. It's still going on. Like, it's still going through court. But I learned something really quickly. I'm enough, and my ideas are enough, and my drive is enough. And if there's someone that comes to you that pronounces how much business knowledge and wealth of information they've got, but doesn't have anything to show for it, get rid of them real quick. Because it just, having someone go, I've been in business for 14 years and I know everything, isn't enough to actually make your dreams come to fruition. And that was my biggest problem. I vetted my dreams through somebody else, and that should never happen. Like, there are that many resources out there. There are that many people out there that are willing to help you. If your idea is well-grounded enough, there are so many people out there that are willing to help you. You don't need somebody else to come along and be like, hey, we're going to do it this way, and completely derail the train. That company was on the verge of doing some massive things. Before he decided to siphon everything out of it and collapse it, which happened, and we hadn't even traded for a full year.
Jeez,
so
okay.
Nothing. Yeah, we were on the verge of getting a contract with Defence, and I had been working on getting a contract with the consulates. So that way, when the Democrats come here with their kids, they've got some really high-level security, vetted people to look after their kids and look after their aging family, because they will often travel with them as well, because they kind of walk straight into the country at the same rate that these diplomats do.
Yeah, exactly.
We were on the verge of some huge shit, and he collapsed it, and I was like, "You're an idiot." Yeah, straight up. I'm like, you're an idiot. You don't deserve this. And then a whole lot of other stuff that just, I will fuck you up with those details later. That's a book there, and that's the only place that I will talk about it, because it's just horrific, some of the stuff that I went through. It was the worst. I wouldn't wish it on anyone ever. Apart from him. That would be really funny. But anyway.
Karma's a bitch.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what? And I was sitting in my car kind of watching, drop the kids off at school, and I'm like, I still want this. This is still something that's so real. And by this stage, I had worked my butt off getting all of this relevant studies and research and information to back up why this was so important and why it still needed to happen. And I had gotten a lot of traction with a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, well, that idea didn't work, and I need to completely redo the structure. I hate the structure. I don't want it to operate like that. And I landed a modeling gig, of all things. And I was like, this is awesome. I love this clothing line. It was a girlfriend of mine. She's like, just come and model for the day. And I was like, yep, sure. Got along really with the photographer and his wife. And so we started chatting, and I told her about everything that I was doing. I didn't think too much of it, actually. But this is the importance of making a really good first impression, which will lead me to my second point. There's been a lot of points.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah, and that is that you should go into every meeting, meet every person with the expectation that they will give you something, just a little something. Like you'll say enough about what you're doing with enough conviction and passion without rambling, which sounds ironic coming from me right now. But you'll say so that it'll hit someone right where it's necessary, especially if what you're doing has got some really serious social grounding in it. Because we've all walked through horrible situations and things that were stressful to us, and we don't want to see people that we love go through the same. So when I spoke to the photographer and his wife, a couple of weeks later, I was complaining about Telstra, ironic, but my Telstra service was absolutely terrible. We were just going through getting the NBN, which is awesome when it works. And he was like, oh, hey, I had a bit of a brainstorm, and it turns out that Beck, who now works with me and is a shareholder of my new business, her brother is this tech guru, and we told him your idea, and they want to digitize what you're doing at a way that makes you the fastest operating human services company in the country. And I was like, what? So I went down to Brisbane for a meeting, sat with the owners of Capable Co, who are just unbelievable. If you're after, in all seriousness, if you're after a good CRM that does everything from your invoicing, your billing, your mail lists, instead of using like a multitude of different programs, you need to check out Capable Co. And it's really affordable for what it is. It's brilliant. And they're always building on it too. There's so much coming, but they have projected a $2.5 million boutique tech system into ProHelp.
That's huge.
It was massive. And do you know what? ProHelp, my new business in its entirely new structure, its entirely new everything, had only been like new customers. We didn't even carry any over of the old customers. It was new everything. It was just easier to wipe the slate clean. Sometimes you've just got to burn the mattress instead of trying to
Yeah, that's it. You just got to just fail forward and just say fuck it and just move on. Yeah,
absolutely do. Yeah, fail forward. That was probably the most powerful saying I've ever heard in my whole life. And you have to fail forward.
Yeah.
So I did, and this company had some huge stuff going for it. We had, like, the old company had already had a whole lot of government sticking their hand up, like federal ministers going, we want in, we're onto it. And I had to then turn around to them and just go, I'm sorry, it's fallen apart, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick it up at the same rate with where you're at right now, but leave it with me.
Yeah.
And talk to you in the future and see how we go. I still haven't chased that up yet.
All right, well, there's a accountability buddy. You got to let me know that you've chased that up.
You got it, sir. So yeah, I made sure that when we restructured everything, that, you know, we now had this $2.5 million tech system, and I was sitting down with them, and I'm not tech oriented. My iPhone does my head in at the best of days. Like, even just, I was surprised that this worked straight up for me, because it doesn't normally work like that at all. But yeah, it was amazing what came out of, you know, something that was fun to me, that I put myself out there for, and it fed me in two different ways. Like, it fed something amazing into my business by the way of our CTO, Mark Greenmantle, who's an incredible photographer, and then our national staff manager, his wife, Beck Martin, who's just off the Richter incredible. I've never met anyone so smart and gracious. She's brilliant.
That's
and
great.
it also plays back to finding people that pick up your downfalls and flip them on you. So I'm shocking with staff. Straight up, I hate it. Can't deal. If your cat died and you're going to take 2.5 weeks off work, I am not the best boss for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not good. I'm much better on the business to business front, which is where my strength lies. So ProHelp had only been trading for 5 or 6 months. I landed a really awesome opportunity to have a course with one of the women who studied under Tony Robbins. She's got her own string of courses.
Beautiful.
And amazing. And I learned so much in that course, but the best thing that came out of it was one of my new business partners who has opened up ProHelp Australia Insurance. So we've got an entire insurance string of what we're doing as well.
Yeah,
then
nice.
It's awesome. Like, but this ability to diversify. And then I thought, well, one half of my business was really failing and I had to get rid of it. So we had cleaners, and I had cleaners that were staff. And, you know, it was one of our ways of sinking ourselves into the community, because cleaners have a really high turnover. They've got really high saturation levels, and they've actually got, crazily enough, a really important ability to make recommendations and be listened to by people, because they become trusted people in your household.
Okay.
So,
yeah, of course.
I had cleaners that were staff, and they were messing everything up, and it wasn't going well, and I hated dealing with staff. So I thought, okay, I've got to change this up here. I need cash. I needed to liquidate something quickly, because we bootstrapped the whole thing. There is not a business loan in ProHelp as it stands.
Excellent.
At all. I've done a whole on my. I'm not going to
Yeah,
say
that's
my
fantastic.
back. Really bad. I've done the whole thing working hard, but not on my back. That sounds really bad.
Yeah.
But I took up makeup jobs. I worked weekends. I did everything that I could to make sure that I didn't have to get a loan against this company, because you've got to trade for 12 months before you can go for a loan. So I learned.
It's difficult. Absolutely. Like, it is difficult.
There's so many people that will fall into that trap. Like, before their businesses got legs, they'll go and get a personal loan, and you know, there's sometimes the highest rate of fallover is those people who've got exponential financial requirements and things that they have to meet before they've even hit their level of success, or they've kind of teased out all the problems. So I thought, okay, I've got to very, very quickly offload one part of this business somehow. So I thought, okay, a great way as a business strategist, a great way to grow a business is to have little licensees cropping up everywhere. So I thought, all right, what we'll do then is I'll have a bunch of these little cleaning businesses, and I'll show people who are doing it for cash in hand how to convert that and all of their leads into a legitimate saleable business. So that's what I did. I sold one of these businesses to one of our lead licensees here in Toowoomba, Queensland. And in 6 months, I only sold this business to her for like $6,000. I'm like, just get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
here's all the clients, here's everything, best of luck. If you need anything, I'm right beside you. I helped her with all of her advertising campaigns, book work. She learnt zero herself. She helped to develop a lot of the paperwork. She worked her tail off, and she's got a permanent stake in this company now because of that.
Nice. That's
she
great.
absolutely earned her stripes, and she's a phenomenal, phenomenal woman. I've got endless amounts of respect for her. And she's helping to bring on more licensees now as well. So she bought this business for $6,000. It's now worth 45, and she's had it for 7 months.
Beautiful. That's fantastic.
She barely has to leave the house, but that's what we raise here. We raise business people, not workers. There's enough people out, and there's 3 different types of people, you know, like you get your perpetual workers, and that's all they'll ever be. And they'll aspire to management, but some people will make it out of the cream pot. Some people never will. And then you get your perpetual managers, and they like the security of managing in someone else's business. They love the idea of being a business person, but they're not cool with risk. So they'll never do it. They think about it a lot, and they're often friends with other business owners because they're a really great referral network, but they'll never actually bite the bullet and convert any of their dreams into a legitimate business. They're just not cut for it. And then you get your perpetual entrepreneurs and business people. These are people who often move around in jobs a lot. They'll sometimes scale ranks quickly. They develop friendships with management, even if they're not a manager. And they scale things quickly in their own way. Yeah. And they're the people that you want to watch. Because if you're hiring people that are doing that in your own business, it's because they're dissatisfied. They want more for themselves. They're not quite sure what it is yet or how to get there. But if you're looking to scale on something or on someone, that's your surest bet. That person that's got itchy feet all the time because they self-compete. They've got really high standards.
Play on their strengths.
Yeah, and they'll always be firing stuff off and coming to you with ideas, and you want to stoke that creative fire all the time, but they end up being your biggest advocates. So if you can find those people, and I'm not talking to people that get fired all the time from jobs and they shift jobs all the time. They're not the people you want. That's bad work ethic. You don't need that. There is way too many of those people around, and they're always like, oh, the job was terrible. Not, I sucked at that job and I'm probably the common denominator because it's my 12th job in a row, and Centrelink fucking loves me. They're not the people.
For everyone at home, Centrelink is our benefits. So yeah, if you're unemployed, Centrelink is essentially what you get for your fortnightly pay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So like, you know, government and stuff. I want people in this business, and I want people around me who are absolutely disgusted by the idea of having to go in front to Centrelink. Because they're the people that will work hard. They're the people that will push hard. They're the people that will push you hard, and they'll give you ideas, and you want to consult with them all the time. So I'm constantly having meetings with these people who are now permanently in my business. So ProHelp went from just being ProHelp, and we haven't even traded for a full year yet. In January, we will have traded for a full year. Yeah. So and even in this short year, we became 2 different awards. We became the Australian Institute of Management regional runner-up for entrepreneurial.
That's fantastic.
It was really cool. I kind of, not going to lie, really annoyed that I didn't win it because I'm like...
Yeah, of course. Well, you've come such a long way in under a year. Like, that's awesome. Like, you know, to not win it sucks. So, but yeah, no, congrats even getting to the position of finalist. Like, that's awesome.
Thanks. It gave me a lot of hope towards the Telstra Women's Business Awards as well. And we became a Queensland state finalist for that. And I was sitting beside some ridiculous people. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Like, what they've done. So that was totally my reaction with sitting at these awards. It was amazing, these people that I've met. It was wonderful. So it was, thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Amanda. We'll catch you on the replay.
Yeah, definitely. Bye, Tick. So yeah, and oh yeah, that's right, everyone. Don't forget to tag replay below if you're watching.
Yeah, we got my little is a hashtag hashtag team R, so R for replay. Yeah, but yeah, if you got any questions, jump aboard, comment. We'd love to hear from you. You know, Renee has a fascinating story, and you know, she's already so well endowed in business, even though you know she's only really been operating for just under a year now. She's doing fantastically. She's you know, runner-up award winner for several awards, so she's doing awesome. So even if you're on the replay, jump on the questions in the comments there, and she can get back to you later. So yeah, thanks for tuning in.
And ask me anything. Like, there's so many questions that people are like, oh, I don't really want to ask that, but the stupidest questions are the ones that don't get asked. and I have had to ask some really embarrassingly dumb questions. And you never know, you could be that person that I end up asking one of those questions right back to. So don't forget to
Yeah, nice.
And one of the things that I realized as well is in raising all these smaller businesses and in all these licensees, how much I love coaching them and mentoring them. These are people, generally speaking, who have no tertiary qualifications. They're people who have only resorted to doing that sort of work because typical regular work never worked for them. Yep. Or they have really, really, they have bigger aspirations for themselves, but no one to coach them there. And it's all well and good to be like, you know, watching Tony Robbins, but there is no way in hell that that guy at that level is going to be able to coach you.
Of course.
There's no way I could get that guy to coach me. There's no way I could get anyone that's that far above you to coach you. So I want to talk about also like making sure you have an accountability partner. So Roscoe, you're one of mine.
All right, I'm your accountability buddy, so let's do it.
Yeah. So I have three, and I have three for different reasons. So I have like, you know, all different three of mine, they kind of hit me at different levels. So I've got a personal brand. I've got Tracy Sheen. If you haven't heard of Unusual Comms and you're struggling to put what you do into the right wording, do yourself a favor and hit that woman up. She is mind-blowingly amazing. She's incredible. And then I've got, you know, business mentors for She's a Total Package. That's you, Roscoe, because it's really like net-based and
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. And that one will launch soon too. So I'll post some information around that one in this group too.
Definitely, yeah. At the end of the show, put in all your links so everyone can reach out and get into contact with you. That'd be great.
Definitely, that'll be really good. And then I've got business mentors for Pro Help. So my mentor for Pro Help was the randomest meeting ever. She ended up being the previous Queensland State Minister for Housing.
Yeah, well, okay. That is random.
She's phenomenal. The people that you meet, put yourself out there and make sure that you present everything that your business is and your most genuine self all the time. And don't be scared of being vulnerable with people. If people see that you're a little bit vulnerable and trusting, but in a safe, good way, not like needy. Nobody likes needy people.
Nobody likes needy.
No. You go to like stage 5 clinger and they're like, oh, that person.
Over Christmas, we were playing Cards Against Humanity, and we're only about halfway through, and a few of them were getting restless. And I was like, oh, come on. Like, I was winning, so I was like, oh, come on, let's keep going. And they're like, no, we're done. Don't be needy. Like, let's move on.
You know, random confession about Cards Against Humanity. My mum kills Cards Against Humanity. I don't know how.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know how. Every time we have played, and I'm from a big WOG family. I'm Turkish-Hungarian, and my mum's side's all Ukrainian. And when we're all together with all of our partners and friends and stuff, like there's nothing for us to have 15 people crowded around a table playing Cards Against Humanity like it's the last thing. And my mum plays us.
That's
I
great.
don't know how, but she is like the most conservative, like person you'll ever meet, and my mum obliterates us.
That's great.
That's cover.
Well, my friends were getting they were getting angry at me because I was putting sales into it. So we'd pick say there was 4 of us, and I'd be like, I'd pick 2, so I'd pick my own and then someone else's, and I'd be like, oh look, this one's good, but I like this one, because we were opposed to the person that had the reading the card. We kind of made it just a group consensus, and then it kept coming up, and I was like, oh, so that's mine. And they're like, for fuck's sake, Ross, like stop doing that, stop putting a sales pitch on us. I was like, hey, it's not my fault I'm funny, like come on.
My husband bought me a game for Christmas called Talking Crap. Oh, man. It's just little cards of words, and you've got to make a sentence out of it, but like words that I hate, like moist and other weird stuff. It's so bad, and you've got to put it into a sentence and
that sounds so fun.
Really hilarious.
There's a new one I want to get. It's called, I think, like That Meme Game or something like that. I really want to get that.
Like that.
Oh yeah, what's it like?
Yeah, what's the meme?
Oh, is that it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you need that game in your life. It was hilarious. My sister got that for my brother-in-law for Christmas for Secret Santa, but we suck at Secret Santa in our family, so we're like, I bought you this.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's we're weird. Like
that's cool. Oh shit. All right.
Secret Santa.
No, that's funny. So yeah, basically you were sitting next to all these people that, yeah, you didn't feel that you were there in the position to be sitting next to them, but you've done amazingly. So, you absolutely did deserve to be there. So how did you then progress to getting into the personal image coaching? I'd love to hear your transition there, because there's quite a few in the group that have been asking me about how I built this group, or how we built this group in only just under 2 months to 500 people, which isn't big by any means. And I'm no expert, but it's more just, they're curious as to how to do that. So I'll do a video about that shortly. But yeah, there's a lot of people in here that want to build their own personal brand, grow their own personal imaging. So I think they get a lot of value out of just knowing, even just how you transition from what you were doing to now, even though it's synonymous with what you're doing. And obviously you've still got the other businesses, but just how did you really start, and where did you start? And I guess, what did you do to really know that it was time to start building your own personal image or personal brand?
I've been an entertainer for 20 years. So I'm 30, and I literally started performing when I was 10.
Cool.
So I was acting, I tried dancing, and I suck at that. And then I kind of kept going with it, but music and singing was a big thing for me. So I actually used to be a ghostwriter for Proof from D12.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So I used to work a lot with my Jupiter and Bliss and Esso before they got really huge. And I had so much fun doing that. And I kind of drifted away from a lot of the lyric writing and stuff after I'd met my husband, because I met my husband through the same channels. My husband's from Florida. So, we ended up like colliding lives after we decided that lyric writing was only one of the things that we had in common. So,
cool. Nice.
So, yeah, I kind of went from that, and a lot of that is, there's so many lyricists out there, and there were so many musos out there, and I had to set myself apart somehow. So I sat down and I thought, okay, what are all the things that I like? Like, if I was to blank slate myself and redesign myself, what do I look like? So I collected all these images, and before I realized that vintage and pinup were a thing, if you look at any of my Renee Chrystelle stuff, you'll see vintage and pinup stuff all through it. It's a huge, and like that 1950s and 40s stuff is really, it's something that I really love, and I really gel with it. Always modest and beautiful, and there are times where I kind of like put a modern spin on it. And, it's a beautiful branding. It's really hard to forget. So people will see me in like my business get up, and they're like, you don't dress like this all the time. Like, no, I don't. I've got other personas and other things that I'm known for, but don't be scared to collide all of that. So on my Instagram, which is just at Renee Chrystelle, and please follow me, and I'll follow you right back, because I'm always searching for really great content to reshare. I've managed to grow that one really fast as well, which was ironic.
Yeah, beautiful. That's great.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so I'm looking forward to doing a lot more brand ambassadoring through that too. And I landed these brand ambassador opportunities, and it all stemmed back from just having a really solid personal brand. So being predictable is a big part of it. If I turn up to a meeting, actually, a funny story about that. I'll do the story first, and I'll explain why it was so good. I was meeting the Queensland State Manager of one of our constituent partners, Employsure. Employsure is a massive company, and David Reed, the guy that I was meeting with, I have so much respect for. This guy has done it all. He was one of the way, way, way high up bosses in Telstra when I was there, but we never crossed paths. And he was in, like, when I was based in the Melbourne office, I used to live in Lygon Street, which was so much fun at 20. It's awesome. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
Best. And I think I ate myself into a food coma like every day. I still have no regrets.
First world problems.
That was though. So I had the use of their gym, so that was awesome. And so this David Reed guy, I had so much respect for him and who he is and what he does. And sorry, I'm just going to put the fan on. It's freaking hot in my office.
Yeah, go. Don't worry. I got lights like next to me and behind me. So like the heat on them is just crazy. So I need to fix my setup. I've been given some advice. I just haven't got around to it yet. So I feel your pain. So I'm just, yep. Ta-da.
Here's a fan.
Little fan there. That's great.
I've got so many fans.
No pun intended at all.
Oh no, every pun intended ever.
Yeah, of course. Like before, when you're like, oh, I gotta go have a quick bite to eat beforehand, and then you're like, oh, let's get a roll on. I was like, There's a pun right there. I had a roll for breakfast. I'll see it. I'll see what's going on.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I was meeting this David Reed guy, and it was kind of like a handover of our account and our business connection stuff to David, who's that Queensland State Manager, because our account has grown so much and our connectivity and opportunities for cross networking and marketing have grown so much that it's becoming a national thing with Employsure, which is a huge deal. Story for another time. And I'll come back when we sell what we've scripted over to them. That'll be really cool. So I was sitting there and I didn't realize it, but my connection had called me and not like, he must have like bumped the phone or something when he was
like a butt dial.
He called me and I answered, and I was just I was walking over to them, so they didn't know that I was nearby. But he was just like, oh, you can't miss Renee. She stands out like a sore thumb. She's always dressed to the nines, vintage pin-up, high heels, dress, hair's always immaculate. Like if you're going to walk into a meeting, she's the one that you want to walk into, because she's the one that they're going to want to talk to.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And I looked at myself, sure enough, everything that he said was right on. My hair was perfect. Everything matched. It was to the nines, absolutely. I dressed all the time like meeting someone important. And when you dress like you're meeting someone important all the time, it helps to build that personal brand of
absolutely. Yeah.
People. Like, I'm expecting greatness from you, and that's the reason why I am dressed like this. And I treat people as such too. And my biggest thing is whenever I go into a meeting, I'm like, right, give me everything. Tell me everything. I want to know how old your kids are, what school they're going to, what school you went to, where you want to go, what you want to do. How can I help you? And even if these people are the hell above me, it's really hard to then forget that.
Yeah, really exactly. Hard. You've taken the time to actually learn who they are. And
they gem drop you stuff. That's the best takeaway. I just run around like Donkey Kong in those meetings. I'm like, give me all of it.
Yeah.
And because they drop you stuff that they don't realize is actually worth something to you. So when they can't forget me, and when they know that I want something from them, I'll be like, hey, I remember when we were talking and you said this little thing, that's important to me, and these are the reasons why. Can you help me? I've never had one of these people who I consider way above me, earning more than I will earn in a year, in a couple of months, and they will always be like, you got it, absolutely, what do you need?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it's all to that personal image branding. So I actually really suck at doing it digitally. I'm really good at doing it face-to-face, because digital is great and it's really easy, but making that genuine, that's hard.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, look at Instagram, for instance. It's all just the best of, and so it's hard. It's really hard because when
my days where I look like shit, that's not happening.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And that's the thing. It's all about that image to uphold. But I'll always make a point of trying to meet with people face to face. Try and forget me, I dare you. And it's not a confidence thing, and it's not a pride thing. It's that I want to connect with you, and I don't just want it to, because you can. I see it all the time, and like people will inbox me on LinkedIn or whatever, and they'll be like, "Hey, looking forward to connecting." I'm like, could you pick a more generic way to hit me up? Not like, hey, I checked out some of your social media and I see that you're interested in this and I like that because I am too. Or, finding a point of comment. That's really important. And especially if you want these people to actually take the time and remember you, that's the deepest part of that. So I've actually written a book on that called The Geisha Effect. And it's very much about connecting that image of who you want to be with who you are. And like eliminating all the anxieties in between that, because that's where a lot of people will develop a lot of social anxiety. They won't want to go out. Like even me, God, I have anxiety and depression, and there are times where it like peaks really bad, and I'm like, no, there is just no time for me to be like that right now, because I need to be that.
Yeah, because you're a support system for others as well. So you've got to really, even if it's a tough day, you've got to really just push through, just to not only help yourself but to help everyone around you.
Yeah, that's right. So keeping yourself in a really good routine is a big one for me. If I'm out of routine, my depression goes whoosh way up. Because there's that routine for a lot of people can be a really empowering thing too. So like when when you're in a good solid routine and you're actively working on yourself and you're going somewhere, it's a lot easier to keep that momentum.
Yep.
And all it takes is 3 months of doing something for you to develop long-standing, lifelong habits. It's a reason why smoking is so bad. If you do it every day for 3 months, quitting is going to take you longer than 3 years because that habit becomes ingrained. And that's all it takes, is to build those cognitive pathways. My phone battery is not liking me at the moment.
That's cool. Whenever, if it's starting to run low, let me know, because I did one a week or so ago, and yeah, it ended up going for about an hour. So it's like, oh shit, my phone battery's starting to deplete. So
well, mine just gave me the now on like 10% thing.
All right. Well, if you need, well, how about if you got 10%, when it gets to 5, how about we'll end it there, just so that way, and then we can always do this again later, another day. That way we can do a part 2. But you know, I'd love to at least end on it, so you've at least recapped opposed to it just cutting out.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So
all right. Yeah.
A book on how to do all this and how to siphon, like how to identify people and like what sort of friends you should have around you, and making sure that you've got the best influences around you. Influence plus, hang on. It's in my book, and I've just got my own book.
No, it's cool, because it's basically this in 2017 and 2018, having a personal brand is the new resume. Like if you're an entrepreneur and you're online at all, having a personal brand really is your CV. Like sure, you can have a portfolio, and that's fantastic for seeing previous work you've done, for say like with myself, web design, but you know, to actually have a personal brand is your new resume, hands down.
You know what? Absolutely, yeah, you're absolutely right. And on that note, like the previous 2 jobs I got, even the one working for Mercedes-Benz, I didn't have a resume. I just walked in and I'm like, hi, you need me, and here's why. And I kind of showed them the proof was in the pudding. It wasn't just in the writing. No, resumes are boring as hell. People are where it's at. So I actually coached my brother through to getting his dream job in a car dealership recently as well.
Fantastic.
I knew the kid was right for it. So I trained him through what to do. I'm like, your resume is great, but realistically, kid, you've worked at Macca's for 2.5 years. Your resume means it won't do anything for you. You have got to do something for you. So I coached him through what to do, and he nailed the job. And within his first week, he'd sold 2 cars.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It can be done, and like that personal. Oh man, I was so happy. I'm like, you owe me about a full paycheck worth of drinks. No,
I think that's fair.
It's awesome but you can, and your personal image can change and adapt. And don't think that once you develop it, that's it. Like people understand that growth and adaptation is just a standard part of being human. So be okay with it changing and adapting. It's really important. So like. Yeah, well, I've got 3 kids, and so every time I've had a kid, I've had to reinvent myself again to feel comfortable in myself. So doing that 3 times over, you kind of get a little bit sick to death of doing it. So you just create the next version of you, stronger and more authentic. And some people don't feel the need to do that. That's not you know, a straight up thing. Not everyone will feel the need that has to happen. There are some people who, I think. Personal image is everything, unfortunately. We live in a
always
world
growing though. Yeah, exactly. You know, we live in a world where it's, you know, it's always the best foot forward, and it's always people putting stuff on. Hey Tina, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, it's all about social media, especially. It's always about putting your best foot forward, and no one wants to hear about the struggles and things like that. But it's not that no one wants to hear, it's just perceived that way. Whereas those that are genuine say, well, look, I was, you know, one guest we had, he was very open, say, well, I, you know, went to jail. I was earning 20K as a teen. Then I went to jail, and now I've, you know, become really successful. And they're actually the stories that people care about because they're genuine. I did a really awful photo of myself the other day or the other week, and it was just, I just finished a run, and I was like, look, this is the face after a run.
Oh man, gone for a run. I can't get my fan working.
Oh shit.
Can I just let you talk shit for a couple of minutes?
Go for it. Work it out.
Well, I'm going to grab my phone charger, and then that way.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
If you've got questions, I would love to know. I prefer to answer them live right now, so go for it. I'm just going to.
All right, Renee, go for it. Go nuts. Oh, shit. So for everyone tuning in, basically what we've been discussing here, basically with Renee Chrystelle. So she started off her own business less than a year ago. In January will now be a full 12 months. She's done fantastic. She's actually been a Telstra Women's Business Award finalist, which is fantastic. So yeah, she's really doing so many great things for her community. Yeah, really, she's got a lot of insight. A new book comes out in January as well about personal branding, about how to, I guess in essence, how to network and just be genuine in what you're doing. So that'll be a really interesting read. So when that comes out, that'll be fantastic to read about too. So basically, if you're on the replay, I'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Team R, letter R for replay. We'd love to hear that you got some value out of this, and then that way we know we can continue on doing this, because we want to be able to. We don't want to waste your time. We respect that you're investing your time in watching us. So if we can help you in a different way, we'd much rather do that. Whereas in this case, if the videos are really what helps give you a bit of insight into business, then by all means, let us know so we can continue doing that. And if you have any industry leaders that you'd like to be on board, not necessarily name dropping, but more so types of industry that you'd like, maybe mortgage broking or real estate agents or affiliate marketers, let us know. Drop in the comments so that way I can source these people out and I can find industry leaders for you, so then you can get valuable insight from that. So Renee, you found your phone charger, we're all set?
Good to go.
That's it. Told you I could talk shit as long as I needed to.
Actually, do you know what? That was a lot of value. Good work.
Still got it. Yeah, no, that's great. So you with the book, so that's coming in, and the personal imaging. So what else would you like to share with us today? Because you've given some fantastic value, and I think everyone that does watch this or watches the replay, they're actually going to get some really good information from this. You were mentioning that with your YouTube channel, so that's launching soon. You've got a bit of a production for that going, is that right?
I do. I'm really lucky. My brother-in-law lives with us, and he's actually a music producer. So he's produced the music for my YouTube channel, and cool. So that will launch really soon. But do you know what? People have asked, like, with the motivational speaking, what are you pro? I'm pro you. I want you to do you to the best level of doing you, because there isn't anyone like you. So I wanted to, there's a serious drought of female motivational entrepreneur speakers who are not boring as shit.
Yeah, top level, there's very few, and the ones that do it, they kill it. Like, they do so well. But there's, so many, say, low level, like, say, male entrepreneurs like myself, just starting out, that, can portray what I need to. But, for top level female motivational speakers, there's such a need for it. And if you can progress that level, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working to build. So I want to do videos that are, very much about building yourself, building your business, kind of rolling all of it in together, and how to get the absolute most out of you and your experiences and the way that you talk and the people that you have in your circle of influence. So I want to do, like, my whole entire YouTube channel is just dedicated to that.
Cool.
There'll probably be the occasional makeup tutorial for a lot of people who want to know, like, this is a 10-minute corporate face for me.
That actually be a good tip. Like, even for someone that would have absolutely no use for that, I could see value in that for others.
Thank you. Yeah. And, like, women as well, like, I'd love to say it's kind of like pro-feminism, but I don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
There's so many women out there. And you know what? Being a female entrepreneur is shit tons harder than being a male entrepreneur, and here's why. In the finance field, women are more likely to get knocked back for a business loan than men.
Yep.
And I didn't know that until one of my finance brokers had told me that. I'm like, that's actually disgusting. He's like, yeah, but we anticipate that women will get sick more often. Women will have care collisions more often with children and aging family because of those gender roles. We anticipate that women will end up pregnant and their businesses will fold, and that on average, most of the women that are going for those business loans are things like hairdressers and makeup artists and service-based that they're likely to burn out in. There's a serious lack of women out there that are able to figure out how to utilize what they've got and bootstrap their business enough to make it work. But this whole thing is very much about partnership. You can only get so far based on the partners that you're able to build and the people you're able to inspire. So, having a strong personal brand makes it so much easier for you to push your business forward. I like knowing that when I walk into a room, people are like, she's on fire, and that's the CEO of ProHelp, and she's the total package. That's that Renee Ventiloro chick, and that's what I want people to know. And I love it so much when people run up to me and they're just like, all right, give me a little value add. What have you got for me? And I'm like, I was just talking about chicken nuggets, actually. I have nothing for you right now. However, you know, and that's,
but wait, there's more.
up those lines of conversation. It happens a lot. And as soon as you tell people that you're a motivational speaker or you're aspiring to be a motivational speaker, they come out with you with all this weird stuff. And it happens all the time, but I really like it. So keeps me on my toes. But that's what the whole YouTube will be about. And that's what the Geisha Effect, my book, is about as well, is you know, like that whole connectivity process. What is that X factor element? What's it look like? What's it smell like? How does it walk? How does it talk? What's it do? And you know, like developing those levels of self-discernment and going, I don't associate with that person, and these are my logical basic reasons why. Even if they're a family member, sometimes those toxic people, they gotta go. Yeah. You'll only get as far as what, you know, the negative people around you will let you get. So get rid of the negative people, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's really hard to do because sometimes they're the people whose opinion you value the most. So, like, you know, there have been times where people around me have been less than supportive for the things that I wanted to do. And I'm like, do you know what? You can take your opinion and jam it because, like, nothing tastes as good as success. So that's my
absolutely.
opinion on that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, it's great insight, absolutely. Because, yeah, people that are toxic in your environment, they're not going to help. And one thing I love about the state of the internet at the moment is that, you know, we can communicate this way. So, you know, you can have friends from across the world or, you know, interstate that, you know, you're accountable to and you can actually relate to, and they're on the same wavelength. So you might have friends that you've never personally met, but opposed to, say, having, you know, they say you are your 5 closest friends. Whereas if you have 5 closest physical friends, but then you can go across the world through the internet and you can actually relate to those people, they're going to be much more powerful in helping driving you to where you want to go.
That's right. Absolutely. And I'm really lucky. Like honestly, it only happened in like the last 3 months where I found all these business networks and stuff. And one of my high school friends who has one himself, he was just like, hey, Nate, come and check out my group. And I was just like, what? And he's like, yeah, come and check it out and drop some value bombs. I was like, okay. So sure. I did that and the group blew up. I was like, oh, it turns out I actually have some really cool stuff to share. Like, if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, this is you. I'm talking directly to you right now. You have got stuff in your experiences, in your head, in your heart, things that you have done, words that you have spoken, miles that you have run that other people haven't yet, and they're aspiring to that. Wherever you're at, there is someone that is aspiring to get to that level. So put your story out there. Get those people talking to you. Let people know where you're at. Like, I've just authored my first book, but don't think it didn't sit before 20 people and them reading it and critiquing it, not criticizing, critiquing it to make sure that my product was the best that it could be for being a first book. So, like, that's really important. Making sure that you've got your story out there and there are people that know that, hey, that person's doing it and they're walking that path that I want. So I didn't realize that either. It's because we get really insular. Like, I've looked at the stuff that I've done in the last year, and it's not until someone like you, Ross, turns around and you're like, wow, now you had a really big year. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, have I? Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, you know, we're all kind of staying in our own little bubble, and we don't realize that things are moving around us. We've kind of always just so focused on one thing. So it's great to get an outside perspective just to kind of see the bigger picture. So that's why I love this podcast, because it's people's just points of view and perspectives from all over the world, all levels of success, you know, all walks of life. And it's something that you can't get between your 5 friends or your group circle. Whereas if you're learning about other people, it's really going to help not only grow your bubble, but it's going to really help give you a different perspective on life. And I'm big on that, like massive on trying to just gain as many different perspectives as possible, just to really become as self-aware as possible.
Yeah, and you know what? The funniest part of that is because we become self-aware, we also become really high-level self-critical. And it's in that all of that self-criticism that we start chipping away at all those little accomplishments. And all it takes is a good few of those from you all the time, because, and especially if you're audibly saying it, then you're actually physically hearing it and you feel the vibrations from your vocal cords through your chest. So the more negative things you say, your entire body feels it, hears it, absorbs it. So you have to be very careful about what you're saying. And we always throw ourselves down the hole first. I'm really good at it. Like if people, you know, I do it all the time. Where, like we always do. We always play our own accomplishments down, or we play our own things down, because Australia's got a big problem with tall poppy syndrome. I married an American. That's not a thing. I didn't know that. And so you're supposed to voice your accomplishments and be proud of it. But in Australia, it's a big problem if you do that. It's like you're like one-upping yourself on everyone. I'm not competing with you.
Yeah, Adelaide is big for that. I've heard a few times, and I didn't think it was a thing because everyone I was working alongside, you know, we were all really happy for each other. But yeah, in Adelaide especially, where if you talk yourself up, not even in a conceited way, but it's just like, oh, hey, you know, I'm really proud of myself because I've done X, Y, or Z this year or whatever. It's like, well, so what? Like, you know, why you think you're better than us all of a sudden? Like,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you know, it doesn't matter where you are. I think like Adelaide's got a problem with it, but all around Australia, it's a really big problem for us. And it's because that we have made it socially acceptable to bring people back down to their level or put them in their place. That's not cool. It's not
everyone
on.
wants a safe space and all that. And I understand to a certain degree, but when it's then starting to impede on, you know, others' goals because you don't want X, Y, or Z. Like, I mean, I guess, you know, politics isn't really a good thing to talk about in a setting like this, but when they try to stop doing Christmas trees in certain shopping malls, like I just thought, well, this is religion aside, like it's just a tradition they've had, and it's just what has always happened. So for now, you know, for just whoever it is to say, oh, you know, we don't want that, it's just a case of, well, just why don't you just adapt to the way things are opposed to trying to bring everyone down to your level. Sure, if you don't, you know, want to celebrate certain days or whatever, that's perfectly up to you. You know, no one's forcing you to, but don't try and bring others down to that level. Say you're not allowed to do that either. So I think we've just lost Renee there. I think her internet's just cut out. All right, so yeah, she'll be able to jump back on in just a sec, so she will figure that out. Her phone battery was a little low, but she went and got her charger. So she's going to grab all that, and then we're going to touch base more on her personal imaging, her coaching, and then we'll jump into you know, what her services, how you can reach out to her, how you can you know, get in touch, especially to learn more about, say, her coaching and also her YouTube channel that's coming up. She's got some really fantastic ideas coming up for her YouTube channel. I think it was her brother-in-law is actually a producer, so they've done really well in regards to her video. And she'll do things that will be really helpful in regards to motivational videos, but at the same time, things like, well, here's a 10-minute business face, you know, with a makeup tutorial and things like that, which I think will be really valuable because although, you know, for instance, myself, I would have literally no use for that whatsoever. I can really see the genuine value in a quick 10-minute business face makeup tutorial because, you know, from a female perspective that's going to be going to meetings and things like that, like who wouldn't want a quick 10-minute intro? So I think that'd be fantastic. So when she comes back, we'll get all of her links as well. Her new book is coming out in the new year, which is going to be a really interesting read. That's about basically just putting your best foot forward as well and creating a personal brand that's genuine, because when it comes to social media, especially say Instagram as one massive example, because Instagram is all visual, Instagram is always just the best of, you know, no one ever sees things that are going really poorly, and I'm sure there's, you know, that 1%, but for the most part it's all about the best of. And I've got my own Instagram account, rossmac88, and yet just as a test, the other week I started a new Instagram account, and I was just testing a few different things that I'd learned from a guest we had previously on here, because he grows Instagram accounts, and all the posts I was doing was basically taking from, say, hashtag billionaire and hashtag, you know, lifestyle images and things like that. And and yeah, what ended up happening was just that blew up. So, you know, offering genuine photos in regards to then something like a Lamborghini is just like, well, just the way of the internet, people do flock more so towards the best of scenarios. So it's really a case of, you can be genuine opposed to just always showing best of, then it's going to work out so much better for you in the long run, because people can see that you actually, you know, are who you say you are, you know, you're not deceitful, you genuinely care about others. and you're not always just putting, you know, the flashy cars and, you know, best suits and that sort of thing. So, I mean, sure, I'm wearing a shirt right now, but that's purely out of respect for, you know, having this podcast with Renee, whereas earlier I was wearing a t-shirt. But that's not being the best of, that's just respect. That's a different thing altogether. So Renee just said that her phone did die after all, even though it didn't plug in. All right, so Renee, if you're still here, if you can just let us know in the comments if you are still able to jump on. If not, all good. We can wrap it up there and we can put your links below. But yeah, if you just let us know, just so I know if I need to continue on with the podcast or not, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, it's really a case of just putting your best foot forward, and that's really what everyone views as best of. But the reality is that if you're genuine and it's not always best of, then you're going to be doing so much better in regards to the public eye and relatability as well. Because as Renee was saying earlier, you don't have to be the best of. It's just everyone is someone is aspiring to your level, you know, and you're aspiring to someone else's level, and it's always going to be that way. So it's not always people that have still work a 9 to 5 that never ever want to, you know, take that plunge. Just trying to find the link back in button on my laptop. Awesome. All right, so Renee should be with us shortly. Well, there you go, Renee. I mean, because yeah, as I was saying at the beginning, it's typically people tend to take about, you know, guests take about 5 minutes to figure out how to jump on. So you were the quickest to jump on today, and now that you've left, trying to figure out a second time, and I guess we'll add that time back on to the beginning. So then, yeah, typically now it does take about 5 minutes for guests to figure out how to jump on board, which is pretty standard. But yeah, it's just really a case of if you can be genuine in what you're doing, and everyone will at some point want to aspire to where you are now. Even the CEOs of 70 staff or the CEOs of, you know, Fortune 500 companies, they once started out doing nothing. You know, they were starting out just taking that first step. So it's really a case of you don't have to be an expert in your field, you just have to know more than the person that is asking for your help, and that's really what it comes down to. So absolutely know as much information you can, and when it comes to just helping others, even if it's little bits of information here and there about how to do certain things, as long as you know more about the person you're helping, then that's all fine. I mean, different scenario if you're, you know, charging for coaching and that sort of thing, and you know, it's a matter of you only know a slight bit more than someone, but you're charging them, say, 10 grand, like that's not right at all. But if it's more just, you know, a friendly conversation, someone said, hey, look, I noticed you did this really well on your Instagram account or your YouTube channel, how did you do that? And if you know a little bit more than them, you're offering real value that's going to help so much, not only with, I guess, that feeling of helping others, but that personal brand. Because, you know, I get people emailing me and say, hey, you know, what's this or that? And I've tried to do a few videos within this group answering those, and I'll tag them in there and say, hey, you know, for instance, Adam asked about, well, how do I find a good VA, things like that. So I thought, well, you know, how can I offer genuine value? I'm no expert on the subject, but I've certainly had a lot of virtual assistants in the past. That's why I'm making a course on it. I had to leverage your time better using a virtual assistant. So I thought, well, what I'll do, I'll make a video for him, and then from there he can then gain that little bit more insight or a different perspective on the topic, and really try to offer some good value there. So over the next few days, because the other day we hit 500 members in the group, so thank you so much for being a part of the group. I really appreciate you investing your time in this community. So I put in there a little, you know, what can I do for you as a thank you? And we've had a few asking, well, how did we build this group up to 500 people? So I'm going to do a video on that. So I guess a training module on how to grow a group. Now, you know, full disclosure, I'm no expert. 500 people is not massive in the scheme of things. In under a month, it's about a month and a half, just under 2 months, I have managed to do this with you. You've managed to help grow that with us. So together, collectively, we've done that, which is awesome. So it's more just offering that bit of insight because I've learned that little bit extra in comparison to some within the group. So I'd love to do a training just on the information I've learned that I can then share to you. Renee, we're back.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool. We got there. No, fantastic. So, yeah, no, all good. So yeah, we'd basically everything you've got, we'd love to hear about, you know, with if you're able to drop all your links in the bottom there in regards to all your services, your YouTube channel, if you want to drop your Instagram as well, however we can get in touch with you. You said you had a Facebook business page as well. Yeah, we'd absolutely love to hear about all of those. So that way, yeah, anyone that wants to reach out to you or follow, because as you were saying for Instagram, a follow for a follow. Great psychology there, and that way you can both share, you know, different perspectives on your Instagram. We'd love for you to do that as well. So is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we wrap it all up today?
Look, also, probably one final thing, and I talk about this a lot in the book, is learning the difference between criticism and critiquing.
Okay,
People will often come to you and they'll be like, oh, you know, I'm just going to give you some healthy criticisms. But if they're not offering you any legitimate solutions, get rid of it.
Yeah. Feedback is so important. Like feedback is, periodically I'll have conversation with friends and they'll give me feedback on certain things. And afterwards they'll be like, you know, get like a real like heavy conversation. Afterwards they're like, oh, you know, I feel really bad. I was like, no, fuck that. Like I want more, like give me as much as you can. Like this is great. So, you know, feedback is so important, and taking it personally isn't going to help you. Like if it's, and look at the collective feedback as well, because if you get feedback from one person, don't pivot your business because of that. But if you have a business idea and collectively you've had, say, 10, 50, 100, 1,000 people give you feedback, whether it's through a survey you've done or whatever, and the feedback was saying, all right, well, you know, we don't like this part or change this, that's when you should seriously consider then utilizing that feedback. But just because one person says one bad thing about you, or about your business idea or whatever, you know, structure you have in place, don't just jump ship because they could be having a bad day or something like that. So yeah, feedback is so important.
Yeah, and that's back to that tall poppy syndrome too. Like a lot of those people who you'll tell your accomplishments to, they'll say that they're offering value to you by critiquing something that you're doing, and their critiques will actually be a masked criticism, and they'll just straight out criticize you for what you're doing and not offer you any value in solutions, how to fix it, where to go, resources. I'm talking like value takeaway. That's a critique. But be very quick to shut down people who are just going to come out and criticize you. And do it in the nicest possible way, but just go, do you have any value to add to that? Like if they, and be straight up with them. Let them know that you will not take shit. They haven't been through the battles that you've been through to get it where it is, whatever it is. So, you know, don't at any stage accept someone's criticisms as critiquing unless there's a value add to it. You've got to have some takeaway. You can't just walk around being like, oh, well, I feel like shit about what I'm doing now, because I've been there too and it's hard. And I realized very quickly, I'm like, so you haven't done what I'm doing. You don't know how to do what I'm doing, and you're full of criticisms around how to do that. That's a great conversation. That's a conversation that you should shut down real quick and tell them, and be straight up. Just go, if you're going to criticize what I'm doing, you better be ready to come right back with some solutions. And more often than not, that's how you weed out the people with actual value adds to people who don't really want to see you get higher than what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great point. Fantastic. Yeah. All right, Renee. So I thank you so much for being on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure. We definitely got to do this again. So, and let me know how you're going with your business. I'm now officially one of your accountability buddies. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So, you know, if you could drop all your links in the comments there, just so we know how to get in touch with you for any of your services. And when your book launches next year as well, let us know. Anyone, if you're in the replay, we'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Team R, let R for replay, just so we know that you've got value from this. And then that way we can keep making these videos, because we obviously, if you're going to be investing your time in us and in this group, we want to make sure that you're getting the best from that. So if the videos aren't your thing, then we can certainly pivot to offer you value in different ways. So yeah, Renee, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great fun chatting. It was great to get your insight on board games as well.